Welcome back. You got Will and Iman here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi. And today we're going to be talking about the SDK Manifesto from Decentraland.
Yeah, the Manifesto was alarming at first.
It was.
There's generally that word's associated with like
bad connotations.
Yeah, bad times. Yeah,
bad times.
Bad times are looming. But then we got to reading and like, damn, dude, this is one of the most impactful reads I think we've ever had. That's Decentraland related.
Oh, absolutely. So Decentraland has done quite an update in terms of like their frame of thinking. And,
totally different. Like
so let's set the stage a little bit. So we started the podcast in early 2019, and you and I were just talking crypto. All of a sudden, we interview Maddie, DCO blogger, and we get into the Metaverse.
Decentraland specifically.
Decentraland.
Pretty much was the only Metaverse entity at the time.
This was during the summer. And my brother, Oscar, listens to the podcast, and he was like, hey, I'd like to get into the Metaverse. So he does, and he discovers a whole host of problems, and him being a full-stack developer was like, all right, let's solve some of these problems. And hence, birth of MetaZone. And so at the time, we were discussing the Decentraland SDK, and we had our own criticisms of Decentraland. And we said in 2019 or 2020, wherever it was, early 2020, Decentraland needs to focus on the SDK.
Yeah.
Because that is going to make the Metaverse what we think the Metaverse can be. So we were in the competition for the Game Jam.
Yes.
We got 5th place. We got 50,000 mana. Now, all of a sudden, February comes around, February 20th, Decentraland launches. We were preparing for this for 6-7 months. With 5 days under our belt in Decentraland, we've essentially doubled our wallet to over 100,000 mana. So I want Decentraland to see this and understand the value is in the SDK and nothing else. There is no value in the builder. As a matter of fact, the builders was essentially the most glitchiest thing that I could have imagined. There is absolutely no value in the builder in any sort of way.
Some of those scenes, those builder scenes, were so difficult and like almost near impossible that like if you were just a regular player, that's why most of them gave up and like probably never to return. Throughout the writing of this post, they emphasize that point of the infinite creativity, the limitless potential of an environment that is enriched by a well-developed SDK, right? So that is the goal. That is the manifesto proposition here. It is to usher us into a new age of like a much more functional, usable. They use 3 different tenets. I think it's like usability, higher performance, and portability.
That's right. So that's right.
These are all very important tenets to an SDK. And nowadays, like it makes so much more sense just because there's a lot more competition involved. Everybody's coming up with their own personal core tenets to what it is. Like their metaverse ecosystems need to be supported by. Like it's not fun anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Meaning like there's real competition. And people don't like to say there's not. Competition isn't what drives like innovation and stuff like that. It's more collaborative and whatnot. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's just, once there's other people in the room, people kind of get off their butts a little bit and like
start having bigger elbows, like creating space.
It's like, what you guys are doing? What now? It's like we've been here for how long? It's like you guys can't tell us what to do.
That's right.
Stuff like this.
Yeah, we're not going to create a metaverse in 2018 or 2019 specifically, and all of a sudden you're going to throw these metaverse standards at us.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
How are you generating these standards? From what experience?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's the Decentraland's position, and I'm very happy to see them, come out with such, a stance of like, authority. I was like, dude, we've been here, we've done that. This is what we're going to do. We're going to provide these frameworks and these new. Well, first we're going to improve our existing technical, frameworks, and then establish them as like a protocol layer for others to build with it. So, this is all right up our alley, dude.
Yeah,
we've been saying this for so long.
Yes,
and kudos to you for sure. You were like the big,
proponent of that. I mean, I had to, stand my ground because the builder that Decentraland built, it's fine for building like, 3D scenes, but that's not the Metaverse.
That's not the Metaverse.
It's not going to attract people to come to look at your diorama in the Metaverse.
Yeah. You can have a cool gallery, but that's not.
There's no economic component. Yeah. There's no incentive for landowners to deploy these things.
There's no stickiness. There's no retention.
No engagement.
Yeah, retention is important. So
and I knew that the SDK was capable of that. That's why we kept talking about it. We had an entire year just talking about
It was
Decentraland.
It was a whole year, dude. And while we were developing out MetaZone and launching new products, new games, new different metas, leveraging the technology of MetaZone, that our focus was on creating an ecosystem of creators who are leveraging the SDK to its maximum potential to create engaging content that is high in retention rates when it comes to users and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not easy, and that's kind of like what this post is outlining too, because we are that group of people that are kind of explaining here. In order for you to leverage the SDK to its current day maximum potential, you have to have like a very, very, very high level of experience, I guess.
Yes, very high.
Yeah, so because they self-admit like it's not easy. It wasn't developed by game developers.
Yeah,
it says the team who developed the original SDK
never developed game or gaming platforms in the past.
Hence difficulty.
Yes,
for creating anything engaging, right? So
yeah, and if anybody touching Decentraland or SDK, they'll be the first one to tell you is like, this is not how you're supposed to do this.
And I feel like Decentraland up until now is kind of like, swept it under the rug, that all these difficulties, these conundrums that we've been encountering as developer community.
They just didn't have the personnel to build it right.
But now, it's like they're facing their demons publicly, which I love to see.
Yes.
They're owning up to the reality of like, look, made some early mistakes. We should have focused more heavily on the SDK. We should have, invested more resources to expanding that technical layer.
Yeah, listen to Will, right?
All that stuff. Yeah. And but now here it is. This is the manifesto. We at the very end of this, they lay out a whole roadmap for the next year. As far as like, finally tackling the SDK as it should have been several years ago.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And so, like you're saying, kudos to Decentraland, recognizing that, getting the right personnel, doing all that stuff. Main areas of improvement. So let's talk about it. Usability. So they have the three main ones: usability, performance, and portability. So I want to highlight a couple of things for usability. So they're still going to be supporting all the old SDKs.
Yeah.
And this new SDK is going to turn into a protocol. So let's talk about what it means to turn it into a protocol.
Yeah, we've been hearing that lately from other ecosystems, right? Like
Rarible,
converting them, converting their efforts into like a protocol once, and that other, NFT marketplaces can leverage.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we might see sort of like a little race of like existing projects out there turning their product into a protocol.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move just because
100%.
Whenever things are standardized, I guess across all industries, I mean, that's like a for sure way to ensure long-term viability, right? Like you're going to exist forever.
Yes.
In the same way the ERC Ethereum ecosystem is probably going to be a forever component to Web3 because of the standards that we've all adopted, right? So we're building so much on top of Ethereum, it's not going anywhere. It's definitely an open book right now as far as like who's going to establish these standards for the metaverse. And we know like in the traditional space, they're organizing with the standards forum and stuff like that. Like everybody's racing to figure out what are going to be the standards. So
yeah, I mean, we were talking about, we had a long conversation about this very document, and we were talking about how all of a sudden metaverse standards are just going to be generated by projects who have nothing or mostly nothing to do with the metaverse. Like it's just unusual. And so now that Decentraland is providing they're offering as a protocol, potentially we're going to see metaverses leverage this Decentraland protocol, this standard, and then metaverses based on this SDK. That's exactly what needs to happen. Decentraland has the most experience. They're the biggest Web3 metaverse.
They are.
And they need to be providing protocols because they've seen a lot of the problems. They know what needs to be done by other metaverses. They know they're not going to be the only one. So yeah. And one of the usability aspects here is easier multiplayer experiences. So if you don't know about Decentraland, you jump in, expectations. Like you and I get into the metaverse, we see each other, cool. But once we start interacting with stuff, it's a completely single player experience.
Yeah, it's like we go up, we're both waiting for the same elevator, and you take off, like, what the hell, dude? Why are you leaving me behind? Like stuff like that. It's not shareable.
It's not, exactly. Yeah. It's not a shared experience. And so now they're enabling a shared experience right out of the box.
Like standard across the board.
Yeah, standard across the board.
Now because we've developed metas in our game ecosystems that they have that embedded functionality within them in order to enable these type of shareable experiences to exist on your land.
And so what does that take? It takes a specific server in order to enable that.
Yeah.
It's a WebSocket server.
Yep.
Now, when you and I are in the same parcel, now everything that's happening around us is a shared experience.
Yeah.
It took it a completely separate server in order to enable that. Totally ridiculous.
So that's good. This is an improvement across the board. If you're a game developer, if any kind of developer, this is one nice little technical add-on that's going to ease your progress. What else?
So we have game servers out of the box, and so this will enable kind of like faster experiences, like a Twitch experience, where you can now have Corona zombies, right? First-person shooters.
Yeah, that's severely lacking from the Metaverse at the moment.
Oh yeah. So now we're going to start getting into like Metaverse only type of problems where I don't have enough space to support a first person shooter. Those are the real problems of the Metaverse. Now you need to acquire land and things like that. So yeah, this is good. Paving the way for Decentraland editor. So now the editor is sort of going to merge with the SDK to a certain extent. There's going to be like a no code builder with the ability to edit the code from the actual builder, which is very important. No code builders is how we have all of the websites that we have. Basically drag and drop builders for websites. Now you're going to be able to do that in Decentraland. But most importantly, you're still going to need to know how to code in order to interactive, engaging experiences.
Yeah. Even though this is going to be a much richer, much more feature-rich tool set, editor tool, it's still the ones who can leverage it to its maximum potential are still the developers who know the SDK in and out, right?
But someone like us, we could use this builder and we can still see the code that this builder has created for us, and we can read code and we can edit that code to the best that we can.
Okay.
And we can make some modifications. That is not possible today, but it will be in the future.
Interesting.
And that's how it should be. I mean, that's one way to learn how to code. It's just like build something with a builder and then see what it looks like in code and then start making modifications.
Interesting. Okay.
Very good stuff. I'm loving everything that I'm seeing here. New documentation platform. That's the sexiest thing on here. I mean,
documentation is incredibly important.
It is.
It sounds super non-important to a non-developer like me.
Exactly. Because that's how we evaluate projects, by reading their documentation. Well, I mean, that's fundamental analysis. It's like, are they competently building this DeFi protocol or this NFT marketplace?
And like we were saying earlier, now there's a clear race. Like it's a competitive ecosystem now. Like developers are going to have to pick and choose which Metaverse standard or which Metaverse protocols do I want to leverage and contribute my development skills towards to build, right? So documentation is going to be that front and center presentation, right, to the developer.
Yeah.
These are all the tools that you're going to have at your disposal to create with. Can you visualize something you can create that's going to generate significant value?
100%.
Because this is what developers are considering. Can I build something worthy of value? And I'm going to get a return on my time investment, everything I've spent my life learning how to do. Is it going to be impactful? Am I going to change people's lives here in this metaverse?
Yes.
The documentation is going to tell you all of that, right?
Yeah, and it's really all about removing the friction. Think of a developer. They're like, okay, I want to do stuff in this platform. If there's no documentation, it's going to be very difficult for you to trial and error your way through.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you find another platform that has perfect documentation, you're going to use them because it's easier. Right. And so that's why that's important. All right. Performance. We got static scenes, new data flows. So let me explain this real quick. New data flows means that Iman goes to this particular parcel, opens a door, and then leaves. Right. He needs to go get groceries.
As I do.
And then I come in a day later and I find the door open.
And then you get mad.
And then I get mad. It's like, what? What? Come on. You got to close the door,
This is very realistic, yes.
And so functionality is not going to be built into the platform of Decentraland. So now we're going to have like cached experiences and completely shared experiences cached via a server from Decentraland. So yeah, this is very important. Obviously, that's a very simple example, but you can extrapolate and think of all kinds of things.
Communications technology. This one stood out to me just because of matchmaking between players.
Ooh, okay.
That's something I'm very familiar with, and I've been waiting to see more of, because I guess right now there's not enough of a player population to really fully leverage these kind of, features or whatever, but at some point there will be, especially if all the other improvements we've just listed out lead to more engaging experiences like first-person shooters. I could definitely see a huge influx in new users wanting to, take part in that. So yeah, we need matchmaking systems, better communication technologies between, individual people.
Yes.
Within the ecosystem. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, this is a very big deal. I mean, there's so many projects that can leverage this right now in Decentraland.
Yeah, that's included for sure.
Yeah. All right, portability. So universality, standards, protocols. So let me read this. Every component will be revisited from a scene's code to the renderer to ensure new protocols are optimized and well documented. The objective is to not just re-implement every component to follow the new system, but to also enable future systems to be built on top of what already exists. In other words, formalizing the Decentraland protocol. So that is the biggest declaratory statement of this article.
I agree.
Which has huge implications. This is Decentraland saying, all right, you Metaverse bandwagoners,
yeah,
use what we've already built 3-4 years ago and start with that. And what do you think Decentraland gains? What do projects gain when other projects use their protocol? They get
a network effect.
A network effect, yeah.
Yeah.
They're around forever.
Well, it's not, yeah, just as Ethereum is, right? But
right.
It's interesting if they could figure out some sort of like tie-in for the mana token itself in the way of Ethereum, you know. Obviously, that's not part of this at all, but maybe it's like the groundworks to figuring out like a whole new utility layer for the mana token, right? Because if you're establishing standards and frameworks for like an entire broad metaverse ecosystem, got to be a way to inject, you know, tokenomics into all of this one way or another. Maybe that's the 2024 roadmap. Who knows?
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
you know, they have to be thinking about it.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, they have to.
There's immense value, though, nonetheless, to being regarded as the standard solution or the standard development grounds for the metaverse, right? I mean, if anything, it's just e-glory. I don't know. There's a lot at stake, and there's clearly a race in a lot of fronts, like with the metaverse. So I think this signals to me Decentraland is officially like woken up. They're no longer, I think they realize they're not the only, you know, player in the room anymore. There's stiff competition like looming.
Yeah, big time.
And they are well funded. They are
big time.
They have experience as well, maybe not so much in the Web3 realm, but they're still
but they got so much money that you can assume that they're gonna hire the experience.
Best of the best. Yeah. So Decentraland has you know, I think they have a little bit of fear.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and fear is good.
Yeah, you have to be scared.
Fear is a motivator.
Yeah, when you create a business, you have to be scared of everything. You need to be, your ear has to be on the ground listening to everything that's happening and understand the implications of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And Decentraland is formally recognizing that and saying, here's our protocol. So last thing, welcoming new branches. This I thought was interesting. Once the Decentraland protocol is formalized and documented, new contributors will be able to create their own versions of Decentraland using alternative technologies like Godot, Unreal, Standalone VR, and custom engines or platforms. So what does this mean? That somebody can create a Decentraland client using Unreal Engine, and all of a sudden you have Decentraland using the Unreal Engine to support that metaverse on that client.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, very interesting. This is a new use case for the protocol.
Yeah,
leveraging other engines. So this is great. I love everything.
So this is the roadmap broken down. So yeah, I mean, obviously they outlined a very ambitious new era. Like I said, they're ushering in a whole new like development ecosystem. So it's going to break a lot of things. It's going to change everyone's mindset as far as like what it is they should be leveraging, how they should be leveraging the SDK and stuff like that. So it's rolling out in phases, right?
Yeah, and so the finalized SDK 7 documentation for the Decentraland Protocol 1.0 to be used as a reference for new clients and technologies like Unreal. Fascinating. And the last point here, so we have quarter 1, 2023 to quarter 2 and quarter 3. So the first one is for SDK developers, the next one is for non-technical content creators, and then last one is for everyone. And this will consolidate code and non-code users to enable a progressive learning curve. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like you and I build a scene. That scene has code. We can read that code and we can start editing. And this will also include NFT systems enabling new components and systems economy.
It's a very interesting terminology.
Yeah, right?
Components and systems economy. So this is good. This is also Decentraland finally starting to think the way we think. Like, you know, it's all of this, the end game to all of this technology, all of this innovation is about bringing about a whole new
Yes.
in the metaverse, right?
Yes.
And labeling it as a components and systems economy is definitely a great way to vague the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
But I think, we have a deeper understanding of what
Sure.
that is because we've already developed components and systems economies within our own
Yes.
meta ecosystems, right?
That's right.
The Decentraland's on their way to that realization point, and I think the whole sector at some point will get there. Like, this is like the ultimate end game of the metaverse, right? Everybody's
sure.
asking, what's the metaverse? It is about enabling
Digital nation, a complex society, a complex financial society.
that is supported by the economy, systems economy,
Yes.
components and systems economy of like content creation,
Yes.
value dissemination within the ecosystem, all this stuff. It has to be embedded within the technology on the back end of like every user experience, right? And
Right.
that is what we've enabled. That is what what Decentraland is on its way to enabling,
Right.
and standardizing for the future generation of
Finally.
metaverses. Yeah,
Finally.
that's
Good. We want more creators creating stuff, especially developers coming in and actually leveraging what the metaverse is supposed to be about.
Yeah, we want those value flows determined and established and like flowing freely. We want like markets to emerge from all those value flows and
Yeah.
participation to be incentivized because of that. And all of a sudden we got billions of users in the metaverse because you have no
Yes.
other choice. It's just that. It's
That
just that
enticing,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, this is great. I love everything that we're seeing. Kudos to Decentraland to finally recognizing what is important for the metaverse.
Yeah. It's not nightclubs and fucking,
Yeah.
mouse parties or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck every fucking month. Like, that's not gonna do it.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It was cool at the beginning to like, showcase and flex like, the metaverse is this cool, open world, shareable, social, whatever.
Yes.
This existence, this virtual layer of like, let's party virtual style, but that is not like the most important. That needs to be like on the side burners. Like, there's this SDK enrichment is priority number one for sure.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys understood everything about this article, this explanation from Decentraland. If you have any questions, let us know in our Discord. Let us know in the comment section below on our YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner and at MetaZone.io, also at Rovi AI. And we'll be happy to discuss. And if anyone on the Decentraland team wants to go deep in this, of course, the doors are always open.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we can chat all day about SDK. That's my juice, man. All right, guys. Appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.